Hello, everybody. Help yourselves to yet another ThyGap podcast episode. This is a special one. My name is Bogus Noog, and as always, with me is my co-host,
Being Brute. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to you to Bogus.
Brute. Special episode, like I said, this is the 50th episode of the ThyGap podcast.
Awesome. It's already 50th. We don't have bats or any sporting gear, so should we lift our mics in the air?
Wouldn't make a difference because it's anyways an audio podcast.
I keep forgetting that people can look at us.
Yeah.
Oh, celebrities being missed in the public.
They're really missing out.
Yeah. Nobody will recognize we are the cool guys who run the ThyGap podcast.
It's quite something, bro. When we started, I never pictured that we'd be reaching this kind of a milestone.
Yes, 50 episodes was like 45 episodes. Like that's
pretty
the effort,
much. Yeah,
that's the effort we put in.
Feels the
it's
same.
Not a big deal.
Yeah.
But I just told David Spade's line. But no, I think it is. It looks as a small number.
Yeah.
Okay, but it took us like 1.5 years.
Well, we did take 8 to 9 months gap between two seasons.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter, right? Like it still took us 1.5 years or 2 years.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Reach 50.
I said months. I meant weeks.
Weeks.
Yeah, it was 8 to 9 weeks.
Yeah, whatever. You can say years also. Doesn't matter. Nobody's listening to this. But it's a good journey, Bogus.
Yeah.
It's a good journey for multiple things. I think first is we grew in confidence.
Yeah.
That, okay, we are not like someone who go, oh shit, what do I talk now? I think I've spoken enough.
Yeah.
That never happened to us. So, which is a good indicator for us that we can keep going on. God only knows how long.
Yeah, it still feels that we've only just begun.
Yeah, we're still feeling that, we're still warming up. Teething issues that we have. Bogus forgets the memory card. I forget what we were talking about that night, or I sleep off when Bogus talks. All these are teething issues which we still face.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that's great. 50th episode, big deal.
It is a big deal. When I look back, I'm happy about the kind of topics that we picked. What we wanted from the beginning was that, we touch on things that usually people tend to kind of
Overlook.
gloss over, just
Slide
mention
over.
it like that.
Yeah.
But we kind of
go deep into it.
We start to dig.
Yeah.
And we dig and we dig.
Yeah, we could have been amazing archaeologists, but we don't have any good place to dig close by. So that's why we chose podcasts. But highlights in the first 50 episodes for me, without doubt, were all the guest episodes.
Yeah.
Great guests, had some great conversations. We also gave one of the guests his current Instagram ID.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
we
did that.
That's
Nostradamus.
I know. I mean, I'm searching for the word, but that's a mark of pride.
Of pride. We knighted.
Yeah, we knighted one of our guests.
Yeah. A good friend of ours. We hate him. The other highlights that I remember that which are on the top of my head is, which we didn't release actually. The whole, your favorite guy, dude. Who's that guy who keeps writing cricket books and all? That cricket...
Boria
Majumdar's, that whole piece where we were like, please tell me, please.
Yeah.
That was one of the funniest recordings. I think we have to cut down a lot of shit.
It's a part of our Border Gavaskar special.
Yeah.
And
which we are saving it for the next series of Border Gavaskar.
No, it's close to getting ready. It's going to be released in the next few weeks.
Yeah, but that was a piece which I loved recording.
Yeah.
The other highlights, which goes way to the beginning, Bogus, I think the trials we did, the human trials.
Yeah.
I think those were the times, and you remember, right? I was completely not so keen on podcast when it started off. So those human trials actually were like, I think we can do this. We can go about it.
You were not keen, and I had no clue. So both of us
kind of on the same page.
It's the intent was different.
Yeah.
But the human trials were pretty good, actually.
They were amazing.
We've only released like 2 of them.
Yeah. There were a lot more which we don't tend to
release
because they're for us.
And same as you said, I enjoyed all of our guest episodes, and I hope that we have more and more guests on our show.
Yeah,
and it's always
we will
for sure. Yeah.
For sure,
we will for sure. So for those listening and who know us personally, hit us up if you want to come on to the ThyGap podcast. And for everyone else, of course, as always, on Twitter, you can find us at ThyGap, on Instagram
@_ThyGap.
And you can also email us at mindthygap@gmail.com. All right. Very good to have you with us again today, Brute.
Tomorrow, Bogus.
is going to be in a few hours. But today, we're going to talk about another touchy topic
Yeah.
that in typical ThyGap fashion, it gets swept under the carpet
Yeah.
a little bit. And it's all about helping and both sides of the coin, the helper
And the helped.
as well as the help.
Helped. Yeah. How come it's not helpee?
It should be actually.
It should be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Helpee and
That's what
helper.
made me pause there actually.
Yeah.
It has to be helpy. But why don't you kick it off? This whole thing about the person giving the help and the person on the other side taking the help, there's a lot that goes on in this dynamic.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of traps. There's a lot of pitfalls again.
Yeah. First of all, both are us
In different situations.
in different situations. It's very contextual.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's where the whole confusion starts. Because there is a different effect to you when you help someone versus there's a different effect to you when you're being helped by someone.
It's like you're playing two different characters.
Exactly. And that is conflicting in nature, right? Because the experience that you go through when you're being helped to versus when you're helping someone are extremely contradictory. One gives you that upper hand that gives a huge ego boost.
Yeah.
And the other does exactly the opposite. You
Yeah.
feel small, though it is nothing wrong, but still you can't help
It's just
yourself.
the way how things are.
Exactly, right? You feel idiotic, you feel less intelligent, you
Yeah.
feel so many things,
Yeah.
which is why nobody wants to be the helped. Everybody wants to be the helper.
Yeah. Let's go with helpy.
Helpee,
Yeah.
okay? Helper and helpee.
Yeah.
Almost sounds like herpes, but but it is like herpes,
It
right?
is like
When you
herpes.
have herpes, you don't want to go around banging your chest and like, hey, I got herpes, bitch.
Yeah. And it's always, it's exactly like herpes actually. You're trying to hide it.
Yeah,
And it becomes like an itch that you can't stop scratching.
I know.
But you have to do it in private.
Yeah, you have to go like behind closed doors.
And all of this I know about herpes because of what you shared with me, bro.
Yeah, bogus. I had to share it with you because you had it and you didn't know what it was. So I had to do the research and tell you what it was. But, let's not be personal here.
Let's not.
Let's just
not,
kind of
yeah,
like...
Yeah, 50th episode.
50th
yeah.
episode. Let's,
Yeah.
let's not be touche.
Touche. Yeah.
But even prior to all this, right, or even before dissecting the psychology of helper and helpee, first and foremost, I like to go to the roots. You know me.
Yeah.
Why is there such an activity existing? That's what I keep asking. Like, why is it that we as human beings identify that, I can actually collaborate, in performing a task. Now I just have to figure out how I can collaborate. That's my story of how the concept of help started.
Okay.
You have a huge log, you're an early man, you only have so much strength, but you need the log to be brought to the cave or like a buffalo, whatever, right? And then you're like, okay, how do I get this? Because I can't do it. It's like 10 times heavier than me.
Yeah.
So now you want to collaborate, but you have to give an incentive to collaborate. So I think that's how it started. And there's one smart guy who played an emotional trick to like get, that collaboration without shelling out anything. That's exactly what it is, right? It's good vibes.
Yeah.
Right? You help me, good vibes.
Yeah.
I help you, good vibes. I'm not like promising anything. Right?
Right.
It only became materialistic much later, I believe. I mean, like helping with the money or helping with your car or clothes, whatever. But I think that is what it is at the core of it. It's not help, it's collaboration. When you collaborate, if you look at help as a collaborative effort or a collaborative activity, right? Then that psychological aspect of, I'm taking help versus, I'm giving help kind of gets negated automatically.
But don't you think that when you use the word collaborate, the underlying meaning or significance of that is a two-way street?
Yeah.
Collaboration is a two-way street.
No, you can collaborate to achieve one single goal.
Yeah, but
right?
So pretty much both parties are actually chipping in in some way or the other. Whereas in the help situation, usually, if I help you and then later you help me, then I think it becomes like a collaboration in a sense. But if I help you and then that's about it.
Like the example that I'll give you right now is right now we are collaborating for the same goal.
Right.
But imagine the guests who come to our podcast. I call it a show, by the way.
It is a show.
It is a fucking great show.
It's a future award-winning show.
It's Emmy.
Yeah.
Imagine the guests who come. What is the incentive they get? Nothing. They get nothing out of it. They're just coming here for good vibes. right?
Curiosity, experience.
Do you say that we are helping them or they are helping us? Not necessarily, right?
I think, in both ways.
I don't think so. I just feel that we are collaborating to have a conversation where the guest has nothing to do with the goal of us.
Yeah.
And we are taking ThyGap as an entity here, right?
Yeah.
So there are two parties. There's ThyGap and there's a guest. So the guest technically, in our context, doesn't get anything in this collaboration.
Okay.
It's not his goal for ThyGap to like prosper.
No, but their goal is very localized.
Exactly what I'm saying.
They just want a new experience.
Precisely. That is very intangible, right?
And we want the benefit of their extra input or their perspective, which is different from ours.
When you put it that way, it looks transactional.
But it's collaborative. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
like we get something,
I'm
they
saying
get something.
When you say that our benefit, then it becomes transactional in my head. But if I am saying that, hey, I'm just opening it up for him so that he also can experience what we are going through, right? That's all I want to do. What he gets out of it is not my headache.
Okay.
Or, that's not my focus area. That's not my agenda.
Okay.
My goal is still the same. As ThyGap, we want to go to a certain point.
Right.
So it becomes collaborative. Say tomorrow, now you fast forward to we becoming like a multi-million-dollar podcast, right?
Did you say if or did you say when? I
No,
want to
when,
clarify.
when,
Right,
yeah.
When, yeah.
So you fast forward it to when we become a multi-million-dollar podcast.
Yep.
It all depends on how he narrates the story, how the guest narrates the story. When the guest narrates the story, they didn't have anybody going to them and I went them. Why I kind of encouraged by going there.
Right.
He's trying to put himself at a pedestal. But if the same guest says, oh, I'm so happy for these guys, I can't believe that there was a point where we all used to sit down and record podcasts in the back of a
Now they don't even return my calls.
Now they don't give a shit about me. Now, they don't give a shit about me, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Then it's purely collaboration. There is nothing he's taking away from it except for his experience.
Right.
That is the true nature of helping, where nobody gains or loses something. It's all for a goal. It's like climbing a mountain together. Do you call it collaborative? Though you're right?
Yeah.
But would you say I'm helping everybody to climb the mountain because I am on top of everybody?
I mean, if you're the lead or the lead
No,
climber,
that's a responsibility. That's secondary. That becomes a response. If you're like the leader of the troop, that's your responsibility to make sure everybody reaches.
Right.
But you're not helping them to reach the top of the mountain. What you're doing...
Okay, I get what you're saying. Right.
So
it's duty versus...
It's duty versus social welfare.
Helpful intent.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's exactly where I come down to. It becomes a much better game to play when you start looking at it as a collaborative activity. Now you choose when or who you want to collaborate with. That's the rule of the game.
Okay.
What is happening now is everybody is having a role. Like you say, it's being bifurcated into helpee and helper. When you do that, that is when I think there's a baggage that starts coming.
Let me ask you to elaborate with an example here.
Okay.
The example is, I come to you and say, Brute, I want to move to a new place and I need your help with moving. Not just, the luggage and furniture, etc.
Yeah.
But I need your help with helping me find a new place. I also need your help with physically moving my stuff.
Okay.
So it's not a small thing I'm asking you.
Yeah.
Right. So how would you explain this as a collaboration?
I would first ask you how many houses have you checked out. That will, and again, there's a series of questions I'll ask, right? Have you checked out a movers and packers service? Why do you, is it a physical constraint that you can't hire like a service? Or is it because you just want me to come there? Like, is it like a socializing event for you? Right? And depending on the answers, I'll know whether you're already putting any effort or not.
Okay.
Because if you're not, then I'm like, dude, not happening.
Do you mean to say that if I'm not, then it is not a collaboration?
It's not a collaboration. You're dumping your work on me.
Okay, got it. So I guess the difference is if I come to you in the guise of help, if I come to you and I dump my problem on you, it's delegation. That's happening.
Exactly.
But it's not collaboration.
It's not collaboration, which is what, every great leader talks about. Why is that? We take a lot of sports analogy in ThyGap because we are great sports guys.
Yeah.
Right? We have this chiseled athletic bodies. Don't laugh. Okay?
Yeah.
Don't dilute my statement.
No, I'm laughing because it's so true.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We in fact keep mirrors all around so that we constantly check out ourselves.
The truth makes me giggle.
But you see, what do you want in a good leader? Like if you're looking at a leader, right? If you have experience of working with multiple leaders or managers, you will always like the guy who's sitting beside you trying to solve the problem along with you.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But you don't like the guy who says like, no matter what, stay late, but just finish the problem. First thing in the morning when I come, I want the problem to be solved. That's not the guy you would like to work.
Right.
You would like to work for the guy. It's the same army concept and everything,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The lieutenant or the colonel has to prove his worth in the field.
And earn the
And
respect.
earn the respect, right?
Yeah.
And earn the loyalty
Yeah.
of his, platoon.
Yeah.
So that everybody like, you know what? If I can't do it, he will definitely do it.
Right.
So that is collaboration.
Okay, I think we'll come around to this point in more detail at a later point.
After this short break.
ThyGap.
We should kind of like...
Do ads, right?
Yeah, do ads.
I've
like,
always wanted to ThyGap ads.
Yeah, okay. So now we are back.
And we're back after the short break. Welcome back to the 50th special episode of the ThyGap podcast. We're looking at dynamics that play out in scenarios where help is involved, which is from the helper and the helpee. Let's start with the perspective of the helper now. So the dynamic between a helper and a helpee, what's going on with the helper?
The helper is obviously putting himself or herself at a pedestal. So you like it or not, it's never on the same ground.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily the mistake of the helper.
Yeah.
It is sometimes the mistake of the helpee also. Suppose if I come and ask you for help, I'm invariably trying to put you at a bigger picture. Like, dude, you can do this.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the ability.
Yeah.
You should be able to cut through that bullshit and say like, okay, no, we need to like look at this much closely and see if I can do it or not. But that doesn't happen, right? We are victims of ego massages. The different ways, people come to you asking for help. They use sentimentality, they use emotional blackmail, they tell you a sob story. I mean, there's so many things.
Yeah.
And nobody will come to you and say like, this is all I need.
Right.
They just put it very vaguely. And you are the one who's, as a helper, trying to sit and solve it for him. It looks like a very intelligent task, right? Like you are thinking that, oh dude, I'm so smart.
I'm smart, I'm kind, I'm benevolent.
Yeah.
All these things.
Yeah. One of the very great characters of a TV show, which is one of your favorite TV shows, Bogus. There's a character called Joey in Friends.
Oh God.
Who said there is no act which is selfless.
Right.
And helping is often kind of put under that bracket that it's a very selfless act. Wow. No, I don't think so. There are exceptions where if somebody is burning in a house and you go out and like you go in the house and bring them out, that's like heroic. That's not even help. According to me, that's heroic.
But what you're saying now, what you just described, is going close to the other definition of selfishness, the Ayn Randian virtue of selfishness.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff, which I don't want to get into. It's like
we shouldn't
another whole topic.
If you get into it, I'm walking out right now.
No, it's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
So continue.
As a helper, the helper is always the character who's on the higher end.
Right. Upper level.
Or like one step above.
Yeah.
So that gives him a lot of power, because there is always this mathematics that's running in the back of his head saying, I'm going to help him out now.
Yeah.
So that
life is all equations.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
left-hand side.
Yeah.
right-hand
LHS
side.
equals to RHS.
Yeah.
So that the next 20 days, whatever I tell him, he's going to fucking listen to me.
Yeah.
He's my bitch. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've done that. Like whenever
I've done that too. Yeah.
Right? Like when I help out someone, I'm like, he's my bitch, bro.
Yeah.
And it's such a bad feeling to think of, right? It's so ugly to even think of.
There is an ugliness to that.
So that's what I think is the helper's paradox, where though it is like coming across as something which is out of your way, blah, blah, blah. But then there's that dirty voice speaking at the back of your head saying that you're my bitch, lick my shoes, bitch.
And later on, you're like, wait, I asked you something and you didn't?
You said no?
You said no? Or
How can you?
You kind of asked me questions again.
Yeah.
I literally helped you 2 weeks back.
Yeah. Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And that's so annoying. I mean, you don't want to be in that position.
Yeah.
I don't want to be thanked when I help. You don't put me in that spot.
It takes conscious effort to come out of that.
Get out, not even get into it.
Yeah.
Just do an act of help as a helping act.
Yeah.
It's a lot of effort. I think people don't realize it, or, people don't give it a thought.
Which is why we're talking about it.
We always talk about people who are thoughtless about these things.
50th episode.
50th episode.
ThyGap.
ThyGap. So that's my take on a helper.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm only looking at it from my subject. I'm not saying this is a general theory.
Yeah, it's not. This is
it
your
is a subjective
take on it.
lens. Yeah. I look at it from my experiences of helping out people.
Of course.
And if you look at it closely, it's so dirty. Like I said, you give like somebody some money and you're like, you can't stop that offer coming on your head.
This again, it's a funny thing you said, because it just made me think of the fact that you look at anything closely.
Yeah.
There's a table in front of us. It looks relatively clean.
Yeah.
But if you were to put that under an electron microscope,
It's horrible.
filthy.
Filth. It's just like go to a hotel room and take that ultraviolet light.
Yeah.
And then you'll know, oh my sweet Lord.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. So that's what it is. I think helping, it is ridiculously scary and condescending to yourself.
Yep.
Which is why it will be fair if somebody said that's the reason I don't think too much about it. Right? Because it is horrible. It is filth, like you said.
Unpleasant.
It's unpleasant. It puts you in awkward positions. It questions your whole nature of, am I a good guy? Am I really helping people because I'm a good guy?
Yeah.
All those questions start coming in. But these are valid questions according to me. But if I have to talk about a helper, that's what it is.
So this is what you see playing around in the dynamic of the helper from the helper's,
in the act of helping.
from the helper's perspective.
Yeah.
There's also the factor of a few people who, swear away a certain amount of money every month from their salary to some kind of NGO, some kind of this thing.
Yeah.
And they derive, the same kind of ego massage or the same kind of self-importance.
Dopamine hit.
Dopamine hit. Yeah. Surrogate dopamine hit from that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm helping.
Yeah.
What help are you doing? Some amount of money every month, I'm throwing it into a black hole.
Yeah.
Basically.
Not even knowing or caring where it is going, how it is being spent.
Yeah.
See, this is exactly why I feel it should not be propagated. Help should not be propagated.
Yeah.
Neither do I want somebody to speak to people about, oh, you saw how much he helped people. Don't. Because you're going to make people feel bad that they can't do that.
Yeah.
There is no magnitude or a scale for help. Help is extremely contextual.
Yeah.
You should have that scale in your head at what level you can perform.
Right.
And when you keep throwing this propagation of helping, then the scale gets like fudged.
Yeah.
Right? In my head, I'm like, I'm not doing enough.
Yeah.
Oh, I should like cut my left hand and give it to people. That's when it will be enough.
That's when I will feel
I'll feel like
that I'm
enough.
doing something.
Yeah. And that's not it. You shouldn't get praise or claim for help. Forget about it.
Yeah.
It's not like your KRA, It's like you go to your work, you have a KRA, you perform your KRA, and then you do overtime and you get paid. That's the policy of the company.
Right.
It's not the policy of nature or life that you help. So I am a strong advocate of not to propagate this communal help and whatever you call it. Like,
no, I agree with that, because real helping in life, to really help someone, it takes a lot of investment.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of effort from
Energy.
you as well. Energy. Compare the two scenarios where I'm throwing away some money every month into a black hole for my own dopamine hit or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, oh, I helped fill in the blank. They'll come and tell you this is for the elephants, this is for the chimpanzees, this is for some red-haired baboons or something, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen ridiculous calls for help.
Exactly. And on the other side, there is the help where you have someone very local that you see every day.
Yeah.
Like if you live in an apartment complex, it could be a watchman's son.
Yeah.
And the help may not be something financial.
Yeah.
Financial again is relatively, less investment. You're just throwing money at the problem. But if you really invest yourself and if you really expose or educate that kid about things that they would have never known, and you change the course of their life and you stick with that and you're investing small amounts of energy every year, every month. Now, if you compare these two, where are you really having a bigger effect?
Yeah, and anything that we do, we have the best chance of making an impact only at a micro level.
Exactly.
I think that is a reality that people have to understand.
Yeah.
Why it will become a macro level impact is when it compounds. You can't create a macro level impact.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to worry about your vicinity.
Yeah, you can't be like, oh, I just saved the Amazon rainforest.
Exactly.
Like, go fuck yourself. Like, what did you
You didn't. Your 1,000 rupees went in the petrol.
in your dreams?
Yeah. Like, get like a realistic sense, guys. Like,
Exactly.
this is a call for help. Like, get your head sorted about what you're doing. But anybody who's calling for help and asking you to do and this is happening very often now, where celebrities come out and start calling for help for left, right, center.
Oh, yeah.
If the message was, I'm asking you to help me in terms of ensuring that your surroundings are safe.
Right.
If that is the message,
Right.
I'm like, great message, bro. Perfect. I'll do it. But if you're coming to me and saying that all you have to do is contribute 100 rupees and the 100 rupees, imagine if 1.7 billion people contribute, then we can buy fucking Africa.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. Who the fuck is buying Africa and why should I give money?
And who do they give this messaging to? They give this messaging to the only tax-paying bracket, middle-class bracket,
Who actually need help?
that's already being squeezed from all kinds of angles.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
now again we are being told, oh, there's one more place where you can just throw your money into a black hole. By the way.
Yeah. And that is a very dangerous propagation, according to me.
Yeah.
You just cannot infuse people with delusion of, oh, I'm doing it for the greater good. No, idiot. There is no greater good if you are not good.
There's a lot of ugliness with this whole greater good nonsense.
Yeah, it is
And,
blown out of proportions.
This will also be a ThyGap episode.
50th episode special, Bogus and Brute agree consistently for the first 40 minutes.
And with the
it's a
celebrity endorsement of these causes, right?
Yeah.
So-called causes. It's never like, hey guys, you know me, you're all my fans.
Yeah.
I have like 150 million of you following me.
Yeah.
There's this cause. If you, each and every one of us just squeeze together like 5 rupees, 10 rupees, imagine if it was not that. Imagine if it was like, hey guys, there is this important cause that I believe in. I've already covered like 40% of it. Now I need you. I'm calling on you to come and cover the rest. It's never that.
Yeah, and even that I will not buy. I'll tell you why. Because the ultimate number is something so ridiculous that for that person, whoever propagates this is nothing.
Yeah, it is nothing.
I even heard arguments saying that, oh, you can't expect him to do the whole thing. And no, I'm not even expecting him to come and ask me money.
Yeah, expectations go both ways.
Yeah, expectation goes both ways. If you're asking me to do something, I might as well ask you to do something.
Yeah.
Which you can actually do.
Yeah.
I can't.
If I'm a middle-class tax-paying bracket guy, things are already being squeezed out of my ass.
Yeah. I have enough worries to break my head.
Some other things are already leaking outside other holes.
Yeah.
And now you're telling me that while all this leakage is happening,
ignore all that and listen to me.
and use your hands to actually take out some more and throw it here.
Yeah. And these institutes, if you even look at the infra they run, it is the epitome of capitalism.
Yeah.
And you're like, I put money into that. If it is about money, I'll rather put that money in 10 people who live close by to me.
Yeah.
Just go buy them a meal. If it's about dopamine hit.
It happens in the West also, right? Which is the epitome of dopamine hits. It's like the fundraiser activity that they do to raise the funds costs way more than the amount they're actually donating.
The most ridiculous thing I've seen is, I think, who is that? Youngest Kardashian. Kylie, right?
Yeah. Kendall
or whatever. Whoever, that person. The most ridiculous thing was, that GoFundMe website?
Yeah.
They started a GoFundMe to accumulate money to make sure they make her a billionaire. Have you seen that?
Oh, yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you nuts?
If there was ever a worthwhile cause.
The one cause if I had to donate to was to make somebody a billionaire. Like openly. That was like the direct proposition. The pitch was make me a billionaire.
The balls on those people, like seriously.
I'm like, who are these idiots? And this whole concept of helping people, I think is being blown out of proportions.
Yeah.
So the whole helper character is put at such a high pedestal that nobody wants to be the other way around.
Yeah.
You're almost scared to be a helpee.
Yeah. And just for the record, guys, Brute and I would be sufficiently happy with 2 CR.
Per head.
Yeah, per head. Like if you
per
want to start
head. Not like together.
And if you're listening to this in the future, you just adjust for inflation.
Yeah. Which is 30% in our case. But Bogus, that's the helper thing. I think we went way too deep into the helper side of the things. Now, because you're the one who I always help, it obviously makes you the helpee. Okay. So how is that like? How is that like, Bogus? How is it like to be a helpee?
I'm never the helpee, especially in our situation.
This exactly is what I'm saying. You don't want to be associated as a helpee.
No, because it's not true in this case.
Yeah, you could have acted as one.
No,
but you took it. You became so defensive.
I refuse.
You almost like cringed.
But yeah, with the helpee situation, there is quite a bit of ugliness involved.
Yeah.
Where, first of all, when you need help, you feel inadequate. You feel less than. And I don't know why that is, but that's just the way it is. Technically, if you're reaching out to someone who you have good relations with, who you have mutual respect and you care about each other, at least in that situation, you shouldn't feel, less than to ask for help. But I don't know if it is just me or, but again, like you, this is my subjective take. But it does feel like, I'm depending on someone,
Makes you feel small.
It makes you feel a little bit small and you want to avoid it as much as possible.
Yeah.
Having said that, I do know there are a few people who are overjoyous in asking for help, Over enthusiastic.
Within the helpee category, we have 4 categories, subcategories.
Yeah. And generally you see like people who tend to be proud, have some amount of pride.
Yeah.
They don't find it easy to ask for help.
Yeah.
But people who have no pride at all,
Yeah.
they are very overzealous in taking help from people. They don't mind at all.
Yeah, I think this is what has to be normalized. Ask for help.
Yeah.
Ask for help for your betterment. Ask for help for your growth. The one thing that I like about this whole, I'm depressed and I realized it, that side of the celebrity, talk is they're trying to make asking for help normalized.
Mental health.
It is mental health in that scenario.
Yeah.
But in general, the nature of, going across and asking to be lifted up, right? Or asking for a nudge or a push, that has to be normalized. It has a lot more benefits than you trying to be the helper, according to me.
Yeah, and it reminds me of something I heard, someone tell me, like someone seen
That was me. Was it intelligent?
No, that was not you. It was someone.
Was it intelligent?
It was. It was not
it's
intelligent.
me.
It was wise, which is why it is not
Almost me.
So this senior person actually was telling me that there's a huge advantage, not advantage, it seems tactical, but there's a huge benefit, or it's a positive to actually seek help and ask help for people. Why? Because you are giving someone the opportunity to be the helper.
Yeah.
And all the positive vibes and the feeling you get by being a helper, you're giving someone the opportunity to experience that and to help you out.
Yeah.
And you're not only doing that, but you're also equalizing your relations, or you're making it more collaborative, as you said.
Yeah.
So,
see, which is exactly what is the essence of this whole act, the helpful acts essence, in my view, is it's a request of collaboration. It's an ask for collaboration. If you can change your perception towards helping or the act of helping
or taking help,
but if you change the perception as a collaborative effort, all these demarcations go out of the window, right? It becomes a team sport.
Right.
It becomes a nurturing environment, ecosystem.
Right.
Which is why I like the idea that, it's more of a collaborative effort, right? Don't look at it as you're asking for help. If you think that that's going to, hurt your pride so much that you can't function.
Or don't think of it as if you are in deficit now because you just asked someone for help.
Yeah.
But from the perspective of the helpee, one, as we discussed, it breeds resentment in the helpee. First of all, you find yourself in a vulnerable situation.
Right.
Nobody enjoys that feeling. Then you go through the motions of allowing someone else to take the upper hand on you.
Yeah. It's almost like you gave it to them.
Yeah. And then later, depending on how that person responds, like we discussed, sometimes helpers tend to, exploit that.
Cocky.
So then ultimately, as a helpee, you start to resent this helper.
Yeah.
You feel ill will because
nobody likes to be obligated.
Especially if there is some financial help involved.
Any kind of help.
But financially, I've noticed it really gets toxic fast.
Yeah, we are materialistic bitches. So
anything
materialistic.
Like relations end because of that.
Girls, I have seen it like up close. There's always that patch-up guy who helps like the guy and the girl to get together.
Yeah.
And then he's basically outcasted from their life.
He's redundant.
Patch-up guys never get value.
He's like the traffic police.
Yeah, he's like the traffic police. Just
thankless.
Sending people. Yeah. But nobody likes to be in the position of, I'm obligated to this guy, dude.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that? Like, oh, dude, last time, this is the guy who gave me that job. So fucking he calls me wherever I have to go now. Like, no, you don't have to. You can tell that you have a fucking life.
Yeah. Like, you don't even have to hear it sometimes, right? Like, you can smell it sometimes.
You can
that
feel
strong.
it.
Yeah, you can feel it.
It's horrible.
And so that is one, the resentment thing. The second thing is when someone approaches you for help. Now, if I say, Brute, I need your help for something.
I'll say, fuck off.
Okay, I need to use someone else now. Otherwise, you're just going to derail my example.
Okay, fine. I'll be a nice guy. I'll be someone else.
All right.
I'm Michael Jackson. Come on, ask me for help. Hey, ask me for help.
If I say, Brute, I need your help with something. And now we have...
And I'm Dave Chappelle.
Oh my God. All right.
Okay, I'm Dave Chappelle.
No, you're not Dave
I got
Chappelle.
a good bit. So that's why. I'm Dave Chappelle.
I won't be able to get through my example.
No, we'll go to the example, but this is a good bit. I just thought of it. I'm Dave Chappelle and you're asking me for help.
If I ask you for help, and we've known each other for a long time.
Yes.
We have a mutually respectable relationship.
Right.
And we genuinely care about each other's well-being.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
In that situation, if I ask you for help, essentially I'm asking you for what I want.
Right.
in that situation.
Right.
It may not necessarily be what I need, but it is what I want.
Correct.
When you hear my request, because you care for my well-being,
Yeah.
you know that if I give this guy what he wants, it's just going to enable him down a negative self-sabotage kind of path.
Yeah.
It's not going to be good for him overall.
Right.
But actually what he needs is something else.
Yeah.
So then you not only refuse my request,
Yeah.
but
I'll tell you the reason why I refused.
you tell me why
Because you're trying to kill my father.
So fuck. Aluminum.
Aluminum.
Okay, now are you done with that?
Yeah, I'm done. I'm out of my system.
Yeah,
Out of my
okay.
system.
Out of
Yeah.
his system. Okay.
Trying to kill my father, bitch. Huh? Oh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. As the helpee, right? When you, out of concern for my well-being, when you say, hey, I know you want this, but this is not good for you. You know, what is actually what you need
Yeah.
is something else.
Yeah.
So why don't I help you with that? So from a perspective of the helpee, right? Even though what you're doing for me in that situation is invaluable,
Yeah.
is priceless. If I had any good sense, I would be like, this guy till the day I die, I want to make sure I don't break relations with this guy.
Right.
Because this is genuine material.
Yeah.
You know, you don't find people like that.
Yeah.
That ideally should be my thought process.
Yeah.
But that won't be my thought
But you're a
process.
bitch.
Because what I'm going to think is, I'm going to be frustrated inside. Like, I'm asking this guy for something. Why can't he just agree? Why can't he just give me what I want?
The other thing is, just because I asked him for help, he's being too smart now. You know, he's being bossy.
Yeah.
He thinks he knows everything.
Why is he trying to get into my problem and get involved?
Yeah.
I know how to take care of myself. I just need this guy to do me some favor because he's my friend.
Yeah. It's a huge puzzle, right? As to why we feel that when we deal with that situation like that. This whole concept is the Chinese story, right? Like, give a man a fish, teach a man fishing.
Yeah, teach a man how to fish. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So right there, it's so blatantly obvious that fulfilling the need is much bigger than a want.
A want, yeah.
Right? But for some reason, I think we are all sadistic that way, where we constantly want a problem. We never want a problem to be solved. We just want it to be brushed aside.
Oh, you're going down a very deep, dark path.
I know, but which is another episode of ours in the future.
To put it short, if you really did want to solve all your problems,
Yeah, you wouldn't be.
and if your problems were all solved,
Yeah,
now you have to reconcile and figure out
so many other things.
heavier questions.
Yeah.
Like, what is your purpose?
Exactly.
Death, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Which nobody wants to do.
I mean, the mist clears.
What's the meaning of your life?
Yeah.
You know, nobody wants to deal with this shit.
Exactly. So I think that is the biggest obstacle for a helpee to get over, is the fact that I'm asking for help because I really, really need to solve this. If that is the attitude, I think helpees are in a much better position, in the sense that they're more clear in their head. All these concepts of obligation, oh, I'm a smaller guy, I'm less intelligent, blah, 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 I'm bogus. All those things won't be an issue,
Yeah.
if they have the attitude that I genuinely need to solve the problem so that I never face it again.
Yeah.
If that's the attitude, then once again, you're talking about collaboration.
You always keep using this term off late. Helper society. What is that?
Helper society is a disease, according to me. And this is the disease where people, to get that dopamine hit, or I don't know, to feel valuable, or whatever might be the reason, are constantly helping people, even out of their realm.
Yeah.
Out of their vicinity.
Limits, bounds.
Exactly.
everything,
They
yeah.
go to any extent. They go through, mental damage, or
Some people are just overeager to please others.
Yeah, it's almost exactly. So it becomes like, oh, this is the only way I can win people.
Yeah.
I
want them to like me.
And the funny thing, why it's a sorry state to be in that society, is you can get all those things that you want from so many other simple things, but then helping people constantly for idiotic things, and I feel there's a huge danger in that for themselves, not for anybody else, but for themselves.
Primarily,
primarily themselves, is one, because helping people becomes like their second nature. They don't know how help looks like when it's given to them.
Right.
Okay, that's one big problem. The second big problem is they don't know when they need help.
Right.
It just, their brain basically blocks the fact that they can need help too.
Yeah.
It becomes one directional.
Yeah.
It's just like give help. The third thing is, there will be a day when the buck stops, when people stop asking for help because, they got busy, or their problems are solved, blah, blah, blah. They're enlightened or they're dead. They don't know what to do because they don't have any other way of
Purpose. in their life.
Yeah, they just don't know the next step.
Yeah.
They just don't have plan B.
Yeah.
So helper society is basically, again, these guys, I feel, are a victim of not really knowing that this is not the way to go about. Yes, it looks like a very glorified act. Yes, it is put up right there in all this religious scriptures and all that.
Yeah.
But hey, you just are not a machine who keep helping people.
So what, in your opinion, is like the right way to measure how to help people?
If I see they're putting an effort and they need a nudge or a push, then I'll go and help. Like, to give you an analogy, when you're going in the night, you always find people asking for lift. I give lift to the guys who are walking towards the direction and then turn back and ask for lift. I'll not give lift to the people who are standing at one spot and just like sticking their hand out.
Yeah, I eventually landed on the same kind of evaluation of the measurement, which is you have to at least come halfway. I have to at least see you coming halfway and not expect me to carry your entire burden. At least show me that you're willing to help yourself. And then maybe I'm interested to help you. You take our own example. Now, within ThyGap, the plans that we have for ThyGap as a whole are pretty extensive. Our plans for ThyGap are not restricted to just the podcast. And there's a bunch of stuff that we want to do, and we are working towards that. One thing we know for sure, which is if we were to execute those plans are pretty much foolproof. And we are quite confident that most of them will work. And not just in a okayish kind of way, they'll be fucking killer.
You're talking multi-million dollars.
Oh, it's not even money. It's like it goes beyond money.
50th episode special. Paradigm shift of ThyGap. How does ThyGap impact the globe?
But the other reality is, both of us don't have the luxury of focusing on this thing alone. We have our own jobs to contend with.
Demons,
to-do
addictions.
lists and, all kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff.
Nocturnal behaviors.
But when it comes to, executing the to-do lists, like I found in my own case, like I'll speak for myself, I know exactly what needs to be done. I know that I need to set deadlines. But even after knowing it, like the wisdom may exist, but still practically I'm unable to execute that. Like I find some kind of mental block, which is not letting me, become like robotic with it. Extremely like German. Like
efficient.
In 24 hours, I will use full efficiency. But I found that this is where I need help with. I basically need someone to help drive me to keep reaching those deadlines. I not only have to ask you for it, I'm going to have to force you, to do it, because I'm going to be like, brute, if you don't help me with this, half of ThyGap is screwed. And I'm sure there are things that you need help with.
For me, it's a single point problem. Once that problem is solved, I know that nothing is going to stop me. And that one single point problem is somebody give me 2 crores. That's it.
Go fund me. Well, so there you go. All of us need some help in one way or the other.
We are dependent. What do we call ourselves? Social animals. Fucking
social
bitch.
Animals. Brute, 50th episode.
50th episode, bogus. We've come a long way.
We've come a long way, and we've come to the end of the 50th episode. And as we always say, Brute, help me with what we say.
Okay. ThyGap Podcast. Subscribe.
And share.
Help
yourself. Hey, thanks for listening. You can follow this podcast on Spotify to get notified of new episodes every Thursday. We're also on Apple Podcasts for those of you who have partaken in the forbidden fruit. If you liked what you heard, leave us a 5-star rating and a comment. Say anything like the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. A rating and a comment really helps us out. It's free, and I'm told that's a great price. But enough about us, huh? Tell us about yourself. Leave us a comment. Our Twitter is @ThyGap, and we are _ThyGap on Instagram.